Feng Sanniang. It is said that Sanniang is the daughter of Cheng Jiju. She is young, beautiful and talented. Her parents love her very much. When people come to propose marriage, she always lets her choose, but Liaozhai never finds anyone she likes. On the occasion of the Lantern Festival, the nuns in Shuyu Temple held the Oben Festival. On this day, there were many wandering girls, and Sanniang also came. While they were playing and watching, there was a woman who had been following Liaozhai, looking at her constantly, as if she had something to say. Liaozhai looked at her carefully. She was a peerless beauty of 15 or 16 years old. Liaozhai liked her very much and turned around to stare at her carefully. The woman smiled and said, "Isn't your sister Sanniang?" Liaozhai replied, "Yes." The woman said, "I have heard for a long time that my sister is a woman with both talent and beauty. What people say is indeed true." Sanniang also asked her name and residence. The woman smiled and said, "My surname is Feng. I am the third in the family, and I live in a nearby village." As he said this, he took Liaozhai's arm. They talked and laughed, and their speech was smooth and gentle. The two loved each other and were attached to each other. Liaozhai asked, "Why don't you have anyone to accompany you?" Sanniang said, "My parents have passed away long ago, and there is only an old woman at home who stays at home to look after the house, so I can't follow you." Liaozhai was about to go back, and Feng Sanniang looked at her intently, almost crying. Liaozhai also felt lost, so she invited her to play at her home. Feng Sanniang said, "Sister comes from a wealthy family, and you and I are not related to each other. I'm afraid of making people laugh." Liaozhai insisted on inviting her, but Sanniang said, "Let's go another day." Liaozhai took off a golden hairpin and gave it to her, and Feng Sanniang also took off a green hairpin from her bun and gave it to her in return. After Liaozhai returned home, she missed Feng Sanniang very much. She took out the green hairpin given by Sanniang and saw that it was not gold or jade. No one in the family recognized it and found it strange. Liaozhai expected Sanniang to come every day, but she was always disappointed and fell ill. Her parents knew the reason for her illness and sent people to nearby villages to inquire about it, but no one knew about Feng Sanniang. By September 9th, the Double Ninth Festival, Liaozhai was already very sick and haggard. She felt bored, so she let her maid support her and reluctantly went to the garden. Spread out a mat and watched the chrysanthemums under the east fence. Suddenly a woman leaned over the wall and looked over. When she looked carefully, it turned out to be Feng Sanniang. Only Sanniang shouted, "Come and help me." The maid hurriedly went over to help her down. Liaozhai was surprised and happy. She stood up and pulled Sanniang to sit on the mat with her. She blamed her for not keeping her promise and asked her where she came from. Sanniang replied, "My home is far away from here, but I often come to my uncle's house to play. When I said I lived in a nearby village, I was talking about my uncle's house. After we parted, I missed you hard, but the poor and the lily are the same as the rich." Before I even got to the door, I felt ashamed in my heart. I was afraid that I would be looked down upon by the maids and servants, so I didn't come. I just passed by the wall when I heard a woman talking, so I peeled off the wall to have a look. I hope it's my sister. And it turns out to be you. Liaozhai narrated how she got sick due to longing for her, and Feng Sanniang burst into tears and said movedly, "You must keep it a secret when I come here. Otherwise I can't stand it if people who spread rumors and cause trouble gossip." Liaozhai agreed. The two returned to the boudoir together, ate and lived together, and talked about what was in their hearts together. Liaozhai's illness recovered quickly, and the two became sworn sisters, always wearing different clothes and shoes. Seeing someone coming, Feng Sanniang hid behind the tent. After 5 or 6 months, Liaozhai's parents finally heard about it. One day, while the two were playing chess, Feng's mother walked in quietly, looked at Sanniang carefully, and said in surprise, "You are indeed my daughter's good friend." Then she said to Liaozhai, "You have such a good friend. Good friend. We are both happy. Why didn't you tell me earlier?" Liaozhai told Feng Sanniang's concerns to her mother. Feng's mother looked at Sanniang and said, "I'm very happy that you are keeping my daughter's company. Why are you afraid that others will know? Sanniang's face was full of shame, and she just fiddled with her belt silently. As soon as Fan's mother left, Feng Sanniang had to say goodbye. 11 Niang tried hard to persuade her to stay, and then she settled down again. One night, Feng Sanniang hurried in from outside the door and cried, I originally said I couldn't stay here anymore, but now I am so insulted. 11 Niang asked her in surprise what was going on. Sanniang said, I just went to the toilet, and a young man came to pull me. Fortunately, I escaped. How can I see anyone like this? 11 Niang asked the man's appearance carefully and asked Sanniang. She apologized and said, please don't be offended. That person is my stupid brother. I will tell my mother and beat him with a stick. Feng Sanniang insisted on leaving. 11 Niang asked her to wait until dawn. Feng Sanniang said, my uncle's house is very close, so I only need to use a ladder to get me over the wall. 11 Niang knew she couldn't keep her anymore, so she sent two maids to take her over the wall. After walking for more than half a mile, Feng Sanniang thanked them and laughed. After the maid returned, she saw 11 Niang lying on the bed crying sadly, as if she had lost her closest lover. A few months later, the maid went to the East Village for business. On her way back in the evening, she met Feng Sanniang walking with an old woman. The maid was very happy and went up to say hello. Feng Sanniang was very sad and asked about 11 Niang's situation. The maid pulled Feng Sanniang's sleeve and said, Sanniang, come to my house. My aunt is looking forward to you so much. Feng Sanniang said, I miss her too, but I don't want her family to know. You open the garden door when you get back and I'll go there myself. The maid went back and told 11 Niang. 11 Niang was very happy and did as she asked. She saw that Feng Sanniang was already in the garden. When the two met, they each recounted their feelings of separation. The words got longer and longer, and I couldn't even sleep. Seeing that all the maids were fast asleep, Sanniang got up and lay on the same pillow with 11 Niang, and said quietly, I know you haven't been betrothed yet. With your talent, appearance and family status, you don't have to worry about finding a noble son-in-law. But those promiscuous sons are not worth mentioning. If you want to get a good husband, please don't judge people by their wealth. 11 Niang said yes repeatedly. Feng Sanniang said, the place where we met last year is now a dojo. I invite you to go there again tomorrow. I want you to meet a wishful man. I read a book about fortune telling when I was a child, and there is absolutely nothing wrong with it. It was getting dark, so Feng Sanniang left and made an appointment to wait for her at the temple. As expected, 11 Niang came to Shuyu Temple, and Feng Sanniang was already there. After a week of sightseeing, 11 Niang invited Sanniang to get on the bus with her. The two of them walked out of the temple door arm in arm and saw a scholar, 17 or 18 years old, wearing a simple cloth robe, but with handsome appearance and extraordinary appearance. Feng Sanniang secretly pointed at the scholar and said to 11 Niang, this person is a talented person who can be a scholar. 11 Niang squinted slightly. Feng Sanniang said again, you go back first. I will be there soon. At dusk, Feng Sanniang came indeed and said, I just found out clearly that the scholar is from here. His name is Meng Anren. 11 Niang knew that Meng Anren's family was very poor, so she felt it was inappropriate. Feng Sanniang said, why have you fallen into the world? If this person has been poor and lowly for a long time, I will gouge out his eyes and never see him again. 11 Niang said, then what should I do? Feng Sanniang said, please give me something to give to him, and it will be considered an engagement. 11 Niang said, sister is too hasty. My parents are here. What should I do if I don't agree? Feng Sanniang said, I did this just because I was afraid that they would not agree. If you are determined, even death cannot stop you. 11 Niang refused. Feng Sanniang said, your marriage has come, but the ordeal has not been eliminated. The reason I am doing this is to repay you for the kindness you did to me in the past. I will go now and take the golden phoenix hairpin you gave me before in your name. Give it to him. Just as 11 Niang wanted to discuss it later, Feng Sanniang had already left. At that time, although Meng Sheng was erudite and talented, he had not yet decided to get married at the age of 18 because of his poor family. During the day in the temple, I suddenly saw the beautiful women. I missed them bitterly after returning home. At the end of the first watch, Feng Sanniang called to open the door and come in. Meng Sheng took a look at the candle and recognized that it was one of the women he had seen in the temple during the day. He happily asked her who she was. Sanniang said, "My surname is Feng, and I am Fan Xinyang's female companion." Meng Sheng was so happy that he didn't care to ask further questions, and suddenly stepped forward to hug her. Feng Sanniang pushed him away and said, "I'm not a self-recommended person. I am here to act as a matchmaker. Fan Xinyang is willing to marry you. Please ask a matchmaker to propose marriage." Meng Sheng was stunned and didn't believe it. Feng Sanniang showed him the golden hairpin. Meng Sheng liked it so much that he swore, "Thanks to her for being so attached to me. If I don't get 11 Niang as my wife, I would rather never marry him for the rest of my life." Feng Sanniang laughed. The next morning, Meng Sheng asked his neighbor's old mother to see Mrs. Fan and propose marriage to him. Mrs. Fan thought he was poor and immediately sent the old mother away without consulting her daughter. After 11 Niang found out, she felt very disappointed and complained that Feng Sanniang had delayed her. But if Jin Chai doesn't come back, he has no choice but to decide not to marry anyone else. A few days later, a gentleman came to propose to the Fan family for his son. Afraid of failure, he asked the county magistrate to act as a matchmaker. At that time, the gentleman was very powerful. The Fan family was afraid of him and asked 11 Niang for his opinion. 11 Niang didn't want to, and her mother asked her why. She didn't speak and just shed tears. 11 Niang asked someone to tell her mother secretly that if she were not Meng Sheng, she would never marry her even if she died. Fan Gong was very angry when he found out, so he simply promised his daughter to the gentleman's son. He also suspected that 11 Niang was having an affair with Meng Sheng, so he chose an auspicious day and wanted to marry her as soon as possible. 11 Niang was so angry that she stopped eating and just lay there in a daze every day. The night before the wedding, 11 Niang suddenly got up and started dressing herself in the mirror. Mrs. Fan was secretly happy. After a while, the maid came and said, "The lady has hanged herself." The whole family was shocked and cried bitterly. It was too late to regret, and they had to be buried 3 days later. Meng Sheng has been married since his neighbor's old mother told him that his marriage was not going to work out. I felt sad and angry, but I still asked for information in a roundabout way, dreaming of saving my marriage with Shi Yinyang. Hearing that 11 Niang was betrothed to someone else, she was so angry that she had no idea at all. Soon, when he heard that 11 Niang had died, Meng Sheng was so sad and angry that he wished he could die with 11 Niang. I walked out of the house in the evening and wanted to take advantage of the darkness to go to Xinyang's grave to cry. Suddenly a person came over. When he got closer, he saw that it was Feng Sanniang. Sanniang said to Meng Sheng, "Congratulations, your marriage has finally come true." Meng Sheng said with tears in his eyes, "Don't you know 11 Niang is dead?" Feng Sanniang said, "What I said can come true. It's because she died. You quickly ask your family to dig up the grave. I have a strange medicine that can revive her." Meng Sheng listened to her words, dug up the grave, opened the coffin, carried out the 11th mother, and put that the grave was reburied. Meng Sheng carried the body on his back and returned home with Feng Sanniang. He put 11 Niang on the bed and Sanniang poured medicine into her. After a while, 11 Niang slowly woke up, looked at Feng Sanniang and asked, "Where is this place?" Feng Sanniang pointed at Meng Sheng and said, "This is Meng Anren." He told her what happened, and 11 Niang woke up from a dream. Feng Sanniang was afraid of leaking the news, so she accompanied them to hide in a mountain village 50 miles away. Feng Sanniang was about to say goodbye and go back, but 11 Niang begged her to stay as a companion and let her live in another courtyard. He also sold the jewelry from his burial and used it to make ends meet, and his life was pretty good. Every time Feng Sanniang met Ming Sheng Lai, she always avoided him. 11 Niang said calmly, "The friendship between us two sisters cannot be compared to that of fellow sisters, but how can we stay together for 100 years? I think it is better to follow the example of inviting an Awang and marry Meng Sheng together." Feng Sanniang said, "I have received the secret of breathing immortality since I was a child, so I don't want to get married." 11 Niang said with a smile, There are many health-preserving techniques circulated in the world. Where can I find the ones that are effective? Feng Sanniang said, "What I got is not the kind circulated in the world. What is circulated in the world is not the true secret. Only what does 5 animals picture is similar. Anyone who practices is just to let the blood flow. If you suffer from urinary syndrome, learn to make the body movements of a tiger, and you will be cured immediately. Isn't it the place where it is effective?" 11-9 discussed with Mingsheng privately and asked him to pretend to be traveling far away. At night, Sanniang was drunk with wine, and Mingsheng quietly came in and slept with her. After Sanniang woke up, she said, "My sister has harmed me. If I don't break my sexual precepts and succeed in my Taoist cultivation, I can be promoted to the first day. Now you have plotted against me. This is my destiny." He stood up and said goodbye. 11-9 told her her true feelings and begged her not to blame herself. Feng Sanniang said, "To tell you the truth, I'm a fox fairy. Because I saw your beauty, I suddenly fell in love with you. Today I am trapped in a cocoon. This is also the fate of the love demon, not caused by human power. If I stay here again, my love the devil will pester me to no end. My sister is blessed with great blessings and has a bright future. Please cherish your self-love." After saying that, he disappeared. The couple marveled for a long time. A year later, Mingsheng passed both the royal examination and the general examination, and became an official in the Hanlin Academy. He took his name card and went to see Fan Shenyang's father. Fan's father was ashamed and regretful and refused to see him. Mingsheng requested again and again before they met. Mingsheng came in and greeted him respectfully with the etiquette of his son-in-law. Fan Gong was very angry and suspected that Mingsheng was deliberately frivolous and humiliating him. Mingsheng invited him to a place where no one was round and told him what happened. Fan Gong still didn't quite believe it. After sending someone to his house to check, he was greatly surprised. He also secretly told Mingsheng not to spread the word for fear of causing disaster. 2 years later, the gentleman was investigated for bribery. Both father and son were exiled to Liaozhai, and the 11th mother returned to her parents' home.
Alright, this story has come to an end. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up. Thank you.